Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And let's see if we can share the screen here. February 4th in Asia. January went by very quickly. And the first topic, we're continuing cultivating 9 key spiritual qualities in children. And these concepts also apply to teachers and their students, as well as to supervisors and their staff. Today we're taking the 4th spiritual quality. We're skipping the 3rd, waiting on that one for next time. And this quality is a profound self-confidence. Profound self-confidence is exemplified when a child is confronted with a difficult task and his first response is a certainty that he can accomplish it. Unfortunately, many children reach adulthood lacking self-confidence and have as their first response the feeling that they will be unable to accomplish the task, that it is too difficult. How is profound self-confidence cultivated? What are your thoughts on this? How do we cultivate profound self-confidence? Firstly, through being sure the child possesses a positive self-concept. That is why in our 9 ideas, the first one is positive self-concept, and this is the 4th. So we need the positive self-concept. Secondly, through helping the child be repetitively successful at progressively more difficult tasks as he or she grows up. A pattern of many successes going into our subconscious mind produces a sense of self-confidence and a feeling that we will be equal to any task. For example, a father teaches his son carpentry from age 10 through 18. Each year, the father helps the son make something that is more complex, never giving him a project that is too advanced, praising each achievement. Self-confidence is cultivated by watching for failures at school or at home and compensating for them. If the child is shy and has trouble at school with public speaking, work personally or through a tutor to overcome that shyness so he or she can speak comfortably before groups of people in any situation. Self-confidence makes youth magnetic to success. So success is attracted by a positive by the subconscious mind, and when that is self-confident, you get a lot of it. I happened to encounter an article on the web entitled Inner Efficiency that presents similar ideas as we do in our positive self-confidence write-up we just looked at. I thought it would be interesting to look at it and search for similarities and differences. It is written by Dr. Aliza Pressman, who is a development psychologist with nearly 2 decades of experience working with families. She is an assistant clinical professor in the Division of Behavioral Health Department of Pediatrics at the Icahn School of Medicine, Mount Sinai Hospital, where she is co-founding director of the Mount Sinai Parenting Center. A long sentence. She holds a BA from Dartmouth College and is the author of 5 Principles of Parenting, Your Essential Guide to Raising Good Humans. So she has 5 principles. We have 9 keys. As a psychologist, I've spent nearly 20 years studying how to care for and raise good humans. The overlooked skill I always tell new parents to teach is inner efficiency. Inner efficiency is an individual's belief in their own capacity to do what it takes to meet their goals. Self-esteem might say, I'm amazing. But inner efficiency says, I have what it takes to figure this out and achieve what I set out to. Kids with a strong sense of inner efficiency are more likely to challenge themselves and put in the effort, rather than blaming external circumstances or some immutable lack of talent for their failures. They'll focus on factors that are within their control. Research shows that kids gain inner efficiency from 4 sources. Number 1, the experience of getting things right. For this to happen, kids have to be challenged at the right level. Pushing them into educational experiences they're not ready for can be counterproductive. Whenever they worry about not being able to do something, you can promote a growth mindset by telling them you're not there yet. So, experience of getting things right. That's what we were talking about. Progressively more difficult tasks, slowly building up greater and greater confidence because of successes. And the next point we didn't make. Number 2, watching others get it right. It's important that kids see others they consider similar to themselves in at least some specifics, like age, race, or ethnicity, gender identity, interests, achieving similar goals. The peer modeling doesn't have to come from people exactly like our unique child, but watching a much older child of a different race and gender accomplish something might not have the same effect. Number 3, reminders that they have a history of getting things right. Stories we tell ourselves about the past create our sense of competence about the future. Studies show that people who lean into optimism have a growth mindset, believe in themselves, often don't have such different past experiences than their pessimistic peers. They just remember successes more vividly than failures. Number 4, a sense of calm in their bodies. Interesting. Children feel stressed, queasy, or anxious when faced with challenges. It can be difficult to perform without taking care of that psychological response first. Teaching our kids self-soothing practices like mindful breathing will go a long way to help them become competent at whatever they focus on. So mindful breathing, yes. That's one of the practices I give in my how to pass exams advice, which I give regularly every year. It says, worship Lord Ganesha and breathe from the solar plexus deeply. Do those 2 things before and during the exam, you'll do better. So how do we accomplish all this? Encourage them to try something they're not immediately good at. Instead of saying practice makes perfect, because we know that's not always true and we're not actually looking for perfection, remind your child that effort makes evolution. Clarify to correct. Don't just mark mistakes with a red pen and say, wrong again, pal. Instead, try restating, rephrasing, changing the question, clarifying directions, and going over previously learned skills. Even with young children who point to a red apple and say blue, you can say, oh yes, blueberries are blue and this is a red apple, instead of just correcting them or saying, that's not blue, silly. So clarify to correct. Interesting. Praise with specificity when it's earned. That's a point I make in one of my talks on making compliments. Be specific. Then you know that then the person knows you're sincere. So let's see what she says. When we say good job, it's got to be sincere and specific. Tell kids when you recognize their real effort, persistence, creativity, independence, and competence. You don't have to completely erase good job from your vocabulary. Just add a bit more detail, like good job applying that chess opening you just learned. Number 4, point out strategy. Help kids draw the line between the action and the achievement. If your child does a good job writing an essay they've outlined, for example, you can say, I noticed you made an outline. I bet that's one reason you did so well. Point out strategy. Or alternatively, you might need to say, I noticed you didn't do an outline. It can really be tough to write an essay when you don't have an outline. Let's try writing one together. When kids understand that their failures aren't due to permanent limitations, there's an opening for future achievement. Some useful ideas and all of that. Definitely the same approach we're trying to take. Moving on, our second topic. Answering questions sent to satsang@hindu.org. In view of the increasing corporate takeover of minds and activities with desires, imaging, and subliminal thought control, what is the best sadhana to maintain an independent center focus on the core goals of the Atman and the values of our faith and Shaivite Hinduism? Is there an additional sadhana that would be of benefit? Answer. I think stepping out of your normal home and work environment on a regular basis is quite helpful. For example, in his early teaching years, Gurudeva took his devotees on pilgrimage each month to the top of a nearby mountain from which they could look down on the cities below. This practice was helpful in developing the skill of perceiving the overview of one's life, which includes stepping away from the mainstream corporate barrage of marketing. Within the city itself, taking a long walk in a large park can also help us detach from mainstream corporate messages. And another question. Could you speak about the intensity as one draws closer to Nirvikalpa Samadhi? Can you speak further to that, specifically the purpose of the intensity? Let's start the answer by quoting from Merging with Shiva, lesson 365, last one. Great lesson. Many people think of the realization of timeless, formless, spaceless Parashiva, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, as the most blissful of all blissful states. The opening of the heavens, the descent of the gods, is a moment of supreme, sublime joyousness. Whereas I have found it to be more like cut glass, diamond dust darshan, a psychic surgery, not a blissful experience at all, but really a kind of near-death experience resulting in total transformation. The bliss that is often taught as a final attainment is actually another attainment, Satchit Ananda, an aftermath of Nirvikalpa Samadhi and a before-math. This means that Satchit Ananda, Savakalpa Samadhi, may be attained early on by souls pure in heart. It also means that one need not gauge the highest attainments on the basis of bliss, which it transcends. A few sentences later, Gurudeva explains that. In the Anahata Chakra and Vishuddha Chakra, Satchit Ananda, the all-pervasive being of oneness, of the underlying being of the universe, is attained, experienced. He also writes, realization of the self as Satchit Ananda gives contentment, a release from all emotions and thoughts of the external world and the nerve system, and the nerve system responds to the energies flowing through the Vishuddha and Anahata chakra. So that's important. Vishuddha and Anahata relate to Satchit Ananda. The concept of Sayuja Samadhi is maintaining the perpetual bliss within the fourth and fifth chakra, Anahata and Vishuddha, and stimulating the sixth and seventh. So, back to the question, to relate all this to the question. The nerve system responding to the energies flowing through the fourth and fifth chakras gives bliss. Likewise, the nerve system responding to the energies flowing through the sixth and seventh chakras gives intensity, which Gurudeva describes further as cut glass, diamond dust darshan, psychic surgery, not a blissful experience at all, but really a kind of near-death experience resulting in total transformation. Said another way, the intensity has no purpose. It is simply the reaction of the nervous system to the energies of the 6th and 7th chakras. So it's very intense. 6th and 7th chakra energies, the reaction on the nervous system, whereas the 4th and 5th chakra energies are blissful, content, the normal idea we have of a spiritual experience, but they're not transformative. And our third topic, quote from Yogaswami's words of our master. Let's see what he has to do. Whatever work you have to do, do it well. That in itself is yoga. And question to you, what does that mean to you? We can relate Yogaswami's statement to the idea of mindfulness and look at a small section of the pub desk on a Hindu view of mindfulness. So this isn't the whole thing. It's just looking at parts of it that relate to what Yogaswami said. So we start with, what exactly is mindfulness? How would you define mindfulness? Interesting, the birds, they do most of their singing right after sunrise and right before sunset. Sounds like a bhaktar doing puja. Timings there. Great definition here. Positive Psychology Program, the Netherlands, offers a terse definition. Mindfulness is attention in the here and now. Sounds like something Gurudeva would write. Mindfulness is attention in the here and now. Said another way, it is directing our full attention to what is going on in the present moment without letting the mind think about or be distracted by something else. For example, in performing simple chores such as making a meal or washing the car, the full mind is on that task. In listening to a friend explain what he or she did yesterday, we focus 100% of our mind on what is being said, not allowing ourselves to think about something else at the same time. While eating a meal, we focus on experiencing the different tastes and textures of each dish. In Gurudeva's teachings, attention is the first step of the progressive mental practices of Raja Yoga, which he defined as attention, concentration, meditation, contemplation, and self-realization. So these are the steps of yoga stated in English in the original way he stated them before he started using Sanskrit words such as dharana, dhyana, samadhi. He described attention as holding awareness steady, centralized in only one area of the mind. In other words, same idea as mindfulness. Attention is awareness poised like a hummingbird over a flower. It doesn't move. The flower doesn't move. And awareness becomes aware of the flower, poised. The entire nerve system, the physical body, and the functions of breath have to be at a certain rhythm in order for awareness to remain poised like a hummingbird over a flower. So we need to regulate the breath first, and that calms the nervous system. Now, since the physical body and our breath have never really been disciplined in any way, we have to begin by breathing rhythmically and diaphragmatically so that we breathe out the same number of counts as we breathe in. As we do this over a long period of time, and you can start now, then the body becomes trained. The external nervous system becomes trained, responds, and awareness is held at attention. So said another way, we need to do pranayama first. Here's a mindfulness exercise that involves detailed observation of our environment. Take a walk, ideally in nature. Notice every detail that you can about what you see. Perhaps you have had the experience of walking with a young child who spontaneously described details that you hadn't noticed. Young children have keen powers of observation because their intellect is not overactive, nor have they accumulated excessive burdens of unresolved past experiences that consume adult minds and memories. We can try to be like children by noticing as many details as possible. Practice of mindfulness is integral to success in meditation. Common experience of those trying to meditate is that thoughts go all over the place, with the meditator unable to quiet them. So instead of meditation being a stilled pond, it is a stormy sea. Those are big waves. The ability to control our thoughts can be compared to utilizing a muscle. To make a muscle stronger requires exercising it on a regular basis. The more we use it, the stronger it gets. The ability to control the mind is the same. The more we control our thoughts, the stronger our ability to do so. If we can control our thoughts during ordinary daily activities, say for 8 hours a day, then we have put in a great deal more effort than we do during a 30-minute meditation. 16 times as much exercise. This will definitely accelerate the speed at which we are becoming better at controlling our thoughts. And that's our last slide there. Thank you very much. Oh.